Hey, we're live. Jill just sent me a really beautiful picture of Eva, so I just looked over at that and saw that. Just getting a beverage here. I just wandered through the garden and I was getting my lunch just by plucking it off of a variety of plants. Um, I've got apples coming along. I kind of grabbed an apple before it was really ready. It's still pretty yellow, but I wanted one anyway. So I had a bunch of that and a bunch of some peas and strawberries were all going. So I had a good time with those. Let me just do the everyone, just to let folks know what we're talking about today. It's it's what to do with Facebook ads at this time of year. I feel like that's kind of an important topic. And on top of that, for a lot of people, August was abysmal. So, what to do to recover from that is another thing that I think needs to be. That's the sound of my voice, but nobody wants to hear that. At least wise me. I guess you guys don't mind. Oops. Oh. And hey everyone, hey you three proud few people, say hi. Happy to have you here. I used to be able to talk and type at the same time, but I appear to have lost that ability at some point. So yeah, I've got a pretty busy fall going on here. It's really exciting with everything that I'd say it's exciting, which is sort of like code word for also stressful, but it's all stuff I did to myself. So I guess I have like no one to blame but myself because I'm working on getting Solaris ready for rollout. That should happen next week. Alpha folks will get it, and then I'll get it rolled out to more people after that. Hopefully by the end of the week, if the alpha folks don't report any major bugs. And then Jill and I have our writing retreat that we run that happens at the end of the month. I'm going to visit my parents up in Canada for a week in early October, which we're doing our writing retreat. We're home for 3 days and then we're off to Canada. So that's going to be a whirlwind. And then we have 20 books coming up in November. So, it's like the fall is just stacked. Thanks, Mona, about the congrats. And oh, that's I'm thinking that you live there. Does your livelihood also depend on the Central Florida attractions? I feel really bad for everybody that lives there because really what's happening is just hurting the people who are trying to make a living more than anything else. But at the same time, a lot of people don't really feel safe and or encouraged to go to Florida right now. Like I kind of don't, even though I want to. So it's kind of tricky, right? But like for example, whether or not I can use bathrooms in airports in Florida is kind of up in the air right now. At least last I checked, that might have been resolved. But last I checked, it was like they're funded by the government by and large, so they're technically government buildings. It's weird. Yeah, I can see that as being rough, Mona. You also live in Central Florida, or do you live elsewhere and you just do sell tourism to Florida a lot? Oh no, you said here, so I'm guessing you live there. Yeah, it's a poop storm. I mean, it won't last forever, so there is that. But of course, you have to make it over the hump. So I'm sorry that's going on. And I think that poop storm is elsewhere right now too. It's sort of tricky because all the economic indicators say that we're not in a recession, but it sure kind of feels like a recession this summer. It feels like more than ever lately, people are just not spending their money on entertainment things this summer, with like the exception of Barbie and Oppenheimer. Yeah, I think that's been kind of tricky. The end of August is always downtime for authors, though. It's because everybody's like some kids. A lot of kids haven't gone back to school yet, but the summer programs have ended, so the grandparents are watching the kids. There's a whole host of things that kind of come into play there. Parents buying all the school supplies, Credit cards coming due for the July vacation. And then colleges, everybody running off to college and whatnot. We were at 2 weeks ago, Jill and I were at Target, and it was like Christmas in there. Like as far as like the lines were concerned, it was whack. So that always has an impact. But I'm already seeing for people whose ads we manage and who we do consulting with, that things are starting to turn around. Stuff is starting to pick up. And it was nice to see after like the last week of August, everything was just going down the whole time. So where's the Treasure Coast Delta? That's great, by the way, that August is one of your best months. I do work with some authors who've had amazing Augusts. Some of that has to do with like the timing of releases or getting a book club or whatnot. And some people just have had everything ticking and we're able to keep it going. So it is possible. There's a couple of ads that we do where we operate as an agency running ads for some authors, and we've actually got some stuff that's just cranking right now. A couple of authors we've taken from, like one we were just talking about in our team meeting, we took her from $3,000 a month to $18,000 a month. And it took about 7 months to get there. Like it was a process. It certainly wasn't like an overnight sort of thing, but it was totally doable. So I think for her, August was also an amazing month. Oh, okay. So that's Tampa and St. Petersburg, Clearwater kind of area. Is that where the Treasure Coast be? So yeah. How's everybody else? If you're here, say hi. Feel free to share like how things are going for you, what's on your mind, what's your I feel like I'm doing a call-in show or something like that. What you're excited about right now, what you're worried about right now, what your plans are for the fall. I think that's one thing that's really important is that we do have plans for what we're going to do, for how we're going to improve things. We can't just sort of say, well, I'll just do nothing and hope things get better. I mean, that can happen, but it's unlikely. It's more likely, that if we do things and we have a plan, a strategy, that we'll do better. Hello, Mike and Laura. We didn't have a book club in July and another one starting in September. Do you mean you did have a book club in July and another one starting in September? That's really awesome, by the way. And hello, VL and Danica and Jill. Hooray! I already did the everybody, Jill, but you can do it again. It's fine. We're above Clearwater and St. Pete's. Okay, I kind of know roughly where that is. I've been to Tampa and St. Pete's because I've gone to NINC, which is where that is. And to Mona's point, like I'm not going to NINC this year, which oftentimes involved a visit to Central Florida because of some of the issues in Florida. Hey, Damien, we were just talking about you yesterday in our team meeting. All good things. Just working on strategies for you. Yeah, Disney World itself, I'm sure, is safe. And the area around it is fine too. But it's the thing I was saying that was tricky for me is airport bathrooms, because I'm not entirely sure if I can legally use women's bathrooms at the airports in Florida. I do not know where Coco is. I'm sure it's cool. Yeah. So what to do going into the fall? So the fall is a ramp up period for book sales typically. A couple of big things happen. One of them is that lives just get stable again, right? Like as much as we all love the summer and everything like that, things are a bit chaotic in the summer. And we tend to settle into a bit of a routine as fall comes in. And routines are good for people settling down and reading, right? Which is always a good thing. Depending on so September picks up from August for 99%, well, 95% of authors. I mean, I can't say for sure, but it's the overwhelming majority of authors we work with will see a pickup in September. October can be a bit rough depending on your genre. If you're in a very trad heavy genre, October can be tricky because Trad Pub tends to release, in years past, they've released as much as 80% of their yearly releases in October. So it can be a little bit of trouble. Sorry about the gas. I'm drinking ginger ale. I can't talk and drink and not get gas at the same time. With any luck, my trusty mic setup is filtering all of that out. It's burps. I'm not passing gas. So I'm not that fast. Anyway, awkward moment. But yeah, so October Can be just fine if you're in not a trad heavy genre, but if you are in a trad heavy genre, it can sometimes be a bit of a dip again from September. November should be picking up for everybody, with the exception of the week after Thanksgiving. One of the things I strongly recommend from an advertising perspective, don't start any new ads the week of Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving. And the reason for that is that, when you start a new ad, Facebook ads specifically, they spend a lot of time going through a learning phase and building out the internal audience they use for your ads. And audiences that are built over holiday weekends are no good. They will typically have really high CPCs and not perform that well. So if you've got ads that are up and running and doing great, you can leave them running, but just don't kick off any new advertising campaigns during that period. Unless it's something really like a flash in the pan that you're trying to do. If you want to try and get like a solid backlist advertising thing going on, that's not the time to do it. But once we get a week out from Thanksgiving, when will that be this year? I'm kind of curious when that falls. So let's see. Is Thanksgiving the 30th this year? Am I right, or is it the 23rd? Okay, it's the 23rd. So we are still. So we'll get a whole week of November after Thanksgiving, and then once December 4th hits, then we're in the clear for like kicking up your Christmas advertising. And if you do advertising leading into Christmas, it can be a very good Christmas and a very good January for you. If you get scared of advertising during Christmas, you kind of get left behind a bit. And it doesn't necessarily have to just be Facebook ads or AMS ads. It could be swaps, it could be sales, it could be paid newsletter promos, it could be rolling out an omnibus edition to help prop things up. And there are a lot of things that you can do there to boost things. Building all year. That's awesome, Delta. You've been building all year. Heather's hard time you moved here near Cocoa Space Coast. You don't hear it? I'm not sure what you mean. But you don't hear it, Heather. I always worry it's a mic issue. I got a new mic, so it shouldn't be causing issues. It was, for those of you who were around in my bad mic days where it was cutting out a bunch, which it seemed to be cutting out sporadically, but not everybody was like catching it. I had two mics, exact same mics from Logitech, and one did it and one didn't. And so I contacted them and they're like, yep, looks like your mic's bad. You can return it where you bought it. I'm like, I bought it from Amazon. They told me to talk to you. So they just sent me a new mic in a box, like a brand new retail mic. It was pretty awesome. Oh, you didn't hear any burping or gas. Goodness. As I bring it up again to embarrass myself. And I'll drink some more to see if I can pull it off this time. But I think that's a strategy to have in mind, right? When you're building your plan for the holidays, is think about when you're going to be wanting to do releases. Think about when you're running sales and promos, and how you're going to time those. And like I said, actually, I guess I didn't say this, but you can run sales during Thanksgiving. Obviously, everybody does. It's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that. But don't make new ads at that point. If you're going to be doing a sale, over that time, and you do want to run ads for it, get that ad up and running a little bit earlier. Make sure the audience and the learning is all done, and then you could even get it just running for 2 or 3 days, maybe turn it off for a couple of days, and then crank it over Thanksgiving weekend or something like that. But don't make it fresh over Thanksgiving weekend, because it will not go well. But and the same thing is true, of course, for wherever Christmas falls. When does Christmas fall this year? Christmas falls December 25th is a Monday. So yeah, definitely that weekend, probably from the 21st on, I wouldn't kick off any new ads, but I certainly might crank up some ads. I traditionally have very good sales on and after Christmas. And I oftentimes do sales and releases right on Christmas as well. So totally do that. Your ginger ale sales fired first. Thanks, David. So, and I've actually, in the past, I've even done releases on Christmas. Never book one, never first in series, always just a later book in a series where someone's eagerly waiting for it. And I kind of have a built-in audience ready to roll. It can be kind of nice to get that extra Christmas present or release bump on Christmas Day or something like that. And you can oftentimes make the tail last pretty well too, because a lot of people just spend that week between Christmas and New Year's just lazing around reading and stuff like that. So always a good thing. Anyone have any cool plans that they have going on for a marketing or release angle? this fall. I was like leaning like way forward. I think my camera's strangely zoomed in. Let me just adjust that. Oh, there we are. Now it's all dark. You can do a camera, lighten up. There we go. I feel like I'm yelling at it to lighten up. You guys can like see a little bit of my new decor, by the way. I got all new furniture in my office. I'm super stoked about it. You can see like I've got these low tables back there, you know, Stormtrooper helmet rocking. And I have a 10-foot desk that I use now. It's massive. I can actually have 2 full workstations on it, which is really fun too. So anyway, I'm one of those people where I have to have like a really zen environment to do my writing. I can't do writing or work in chaos that well, or I have to be like really studiously ignore the chaos. So, Mike has an urban fantasy novel, full read of your first novel. So have you pulled it already, or are you just going to pull it soon and then re-release it in October? Probably pulled it already, right? Most people do that when they're doing a rewrite; they'll yank it early. Is it part of a series, or is it just a standalone that you've done? Since 2018. Oh my goodness. So a long time ago, you realized you didn't want that thing out there still. That totally makes sense. I could see that. Doing that. I've got some of my earlier books I wouldn't mind doing a rewrite, but they do well and they're all narrated and everything, and you can't go changing those too much. But I have been thinking about at some point, I have to wrap up 2 series. I might take everything I've written and start releasing it all in one giant omnibus series and rolling it out that way. I think that could be kind of fun. Series potential. That's good. Yeah, get it out, see what happens, get some because I'm guessing you have a bigger readership now too, so you can probably like inspire a lot of your readers to grab it. You know, do some promos or something like that. It probably wouldn't work so well for paid ads because there's not strong read through to something else. Paid ads like AMS or Facebook ads are really hard to be profitable with just a standalone, but you still have tons of other avenues you could go with that. Delta starting a brand new series, a wee bit of a departure. I always feel like when people say like a wee bit of a departure, it's actually a big departure. I could be wrong, but it always feels like that. Let's see, Laura is getting ready to publish a sweet romance Christmas book at the beginning of November. Paranormal romance going live next week in time for Halloween. That's good planning that you've got going on there. You got everything coming out well in advance. You can get your reviews up and get ads running if you're going to be doing that. All that jazz. That's cool. I can't believe we're like almost in Halloween season. I'm sure, well, actually, I'm not sure, but you might have noticed that our daughter runs a slime business now where she sells, unsurprisingly, slime. And so she's already got her September stuff underway, and she's actually made her Halloween slime, and she's working on her Christmas slime too, to get everything ready for all the promos. Because we got to do all the shoots, you know, and we got to get the stuff ready and build up the inventory and all that. So yeah, it's always a challenge to get that stuff done. But I'm glad to see that you got all your ducks in a row for that, Laura. Damien's doing second book of a new superhero slated to come out in October. Started generating AI images to garner excitement. Yeah, AI images are probably great for superhero stuff. And from Felicia was saying I think it was Felicia, was it? Yeah, Felicia's working with you. Or was it Eliza? Now I can't remember. No, it's Eliza. But your omnibus for your other superhero series is doing well, so that's really encouraging. Superhero is a bit of a hard sell when it comes to ads. It's tricky to target superhero liking people because you get so many people who just watch the movies but aren't actually like into superhero books or comics or anything like that. So that's awesome. Delta says, I got a holiday novella coming. Humbug, mate. I think that could work. That sounds fun. You know, if you make sure if your cover and your blurb and everything are really like on brand for that, I think that could be a pretty cool thing to do. I saw, Dharma, that you had that release come out. That's awesome. And you're going to have it up for a whole month on your site. I'm really interested to see how that goes. Because most people, you know, when they do an early release on their site, it's just for a few days. But the whole month is I think it's pretty wild. You might be able to get a lot more like consistent ongoing activity on your site rather than sort of a flash in the pan that a lot of people get if they only roll it like a couple of days early. So I think that's pretty cool, right? Yep, thanks. It is Eliza, like Damien. Needs some Halloween slime. Yeah, she's got, it's like purple Not purple. I think she's planning on doing purple as well, but she's got orange, and it's got like all sorts of little sprinkles and skulls and stuff like that in it. And Christmas is going to be the Nightmare Before Christmas themed. And she got like little Jack skeleton heads to put in and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Will I be at 20 Books in November 2024? I don't know what's happening for the next 20 Books. I will be there this year in 2023, but 2024 is, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how Joe Solari plans on running 20 Books. You know, I kind of, with Craig, it was just a guarantee that I was always going to be a speaker. In fact, he in a not serious, but still kind of like worrisome Craig way, kind of like threatened me at one point, telling me that I had to be a speaker at every 20 Books and I had no choice. And of course, I know Craig's not actually going to do anything, but Craig's also like a bit of a scary man sometimes. So I was like, yes, Craig, of course I'll be a speaker at 20 Books forever, no problem, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know how Joe's going to run everything, so I guess we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm guessing you meant 2023, but it did get me thinking about 2024. Well, that's good. It's part of a well-selling series. That's awesome, Jonathan. Those are always great to do. A little bit of fan service as well, get things going. I was actually playing with some slime. This is some clear slime that Eva made as a base for something else. Also, she's making me some clear slime. And with the clear slime, you really want the bubbles out of it. I don't know if you can see this. You really can't tell, but it's more transparent at the bottom. There's a lot of bubbles on the top. And it needs a warm room for the bubbles to rise. And this is the warmest room in the house. So, because it's currently 85 degrees in here, because I have an air conditioner in here, but this room's like all windows, so it heats up quite a bit. Let's see. Yeah, I've got two big ones, Laura. I think I might have. Do I have three or do I have two? I think I just have two presentations of 20 Books, which is nice actually, because last year I had like 5 and I was wiped. But I'm doing one on ads and I'm doing one on genre and tropes, which is super important. In fact, possibly more important than a presentation on ads. So I'm really excited to do that one. So Christina says, I recently started my Shopify store running Facebook sales. That's awesome. Any advice as far as audience, whether to narrow down as well with traffic ads? I mean, I don't always narrow it down with ads. If the ad's working, I leave it unnarrowed. One of the things with traffic ads is you will always pay by impression with traffic ads. So what I do for sales, one of the things that you can do with them is you can actually do a breakdown by placement in your images and your text options, and you can see which placements like Facebook feed, Instagram stories, who knows what, is actually generating your sales. You can see which images are generating sales and which ones are just getting clicks and no sales, and the same thing for text. So I narrow down by conversion when I'm doing a straight Shopify ad. But I don't get too brutal with it. Because if I find something that's got like a really good cost per click and a really good result rate, but doesn't seem to be making any sales, a lot of times I'll let that run, because a lot of people land on your Shopify store and then go buy your book on Amazon. It seems to happen a lot from what I can tell with the number of authors that we do these ads with. So I'm not like super mercenary about pruning ads, but I will grab things like if it's a higher CPC or meh result rate, but I'm not getting any conversions on that placement or piece of creative, I will totally yank it. Let's see. Dorothy can't make it this year. Oh, so you did mean 2024. I mean, I imagine I'll be there. Like I said, I don't know what Joe Solari is going to do for how many speakers he plans to have or how he's going to do the selection process for speakers, but if he'll have me, I'm pretty sure I'll be there, as much as I can't stand Vegas. Yes, Laura, she does. I think Jill gave you the link. Sounds like a great room. Presentations already? Yes, if you do want to see my presentations at Vegas, sign up for them. Because on the app, on the Shed app, your Sked app, I don't know how you pronounce it, right? Because the word is pronounced schedule, but Sked seems weird. I want to say Shed. But we know it's not schedule, because if it was schedule, then you would be a schizophrenic going to shul, not a schizophrenic going to school, right? So anyway, I always like saying schizophrenic. It really was just an excuse to say schizophrenic. But anyway, go to Shed or Sked, whichever you call it, and sign up for my classes, because the room size that you get as a speaker at 20 Books depends on how many people pre-register for your session. So And last year they were pretty mercenary about closing doors when the smaller rooms hit capacity. So if I get dumped in a smaller room and I hit capacity, you might not get to see the talk, and we wouldn't want that. All right. Jill gave the link. I read the latest version of my Copyright Expressive pandemic ads. The section dynamic ads keeps making my brain twitch. Is there a video walkthrough, step-by-step walkthrough you could recommend? I don't think anyone else does a step-by-step walkthrough on dynamic ads. All the other people who teach ads are, I don't know. I don't know why they don't teach dynamic ads. I have not actually had a conversation with them to know why. I know a couple of them. I kind of get the feeling they're control freaks, and they use control freak in the kindest way. They don't like letting the AIs make the decisions. Some of them are just sort of doing things the way they did them in 2019, which can still work. It's just more labor intensive. Dynamic ads are much less labor intensive, which I like. I'm lazy. I don't want to do it the hard way. And I think that the dynamic ads actually do a better job. Like 97.2% of the time. There are some times where standard creative works better. But I mean, we periodically do an advanced Facebook ads class. And sometimes we'll also do, actually, we haven't done an advanced ad creative class in a while, and that might be a really good idea. We could do that. I'll talk to Jill about scheduling and we should call it mastering ad creative, and we talk about dynamic creative a lot in that class. So that might be something that we could do in the next few months. You could attend that. Yeah, right, Christina. Like one of I worked with, we turned off all of our Amazon ads, pulled her out of KU, and dumped. We were spending a lot of money on Shopify ads, and they were working. We were spending like $200 or $300 a day on Shopify ads, but she started making more money on Amazon than she ever had before. So, and the only thing and when we turned off the Shopify ads, the Amazon sales decreased. So we knew that there was a correlation between these two things. And it was kind of amazing how well that worked. Oh, that's true. Our Facebook ads beginner workshop has a walkthrough on that. That's right. I forgot. Jill's totally right. We do have our beginner ads course, which is like a 3-hour video where I walk through the whole process visually, explaining everything. Totally shows how to create dynamic creative ads. So yeah, hit Jill up if you want some deets on that. Currently looking at properties for the 2024 writing retreat. Ooh. Upstate Connecticut. Oh, upstate New York. I was like, upstate Connecticut. Where would that be? Isn't upstate Connecticut Massachusetts? That could be fun. I didn't know that's what we were thinking. Because we've done our writing retreat is in a couple of weeks, and it's on the coast in Scituate, Massachusetts. We got this house that's like on the ocean. Like you stand at the deck and you look down, and you're looking down at ocean. But I think it's cool to be going somewhere else because that place can only sleep 8 guests plus the 3 of us if you're willing to share a room with someone else. So if you won't share a room, and by share a room I mean share a bed, they're all queens and kings. But if you're not into sharing, then we can actually only have like 4 people join us. So we're looking for a bigger space, I guess. All right, we'll do that in December. Sweet. Making more sales. Yeah, Christina, that's what I've been seeing too. That's something that we're setting up to test as well. Jill's been getting all of our books loaded up onto one of my Wix websites, and then we're going to do Shopify and possibly Etsy to start as well. I've talked about this before, so some of you probably heard this. And I'm going to do some head-to-head testing and see which ones work better. And then also like what kind of follow through to Amazon we get when we're doing it. So I'm glad you're seeing that too. I'm glad you're getting that additional boost as well. I really do feel like we are moving into direct sales becoming a super viable thing for everybody. It used to be like, do it if you're big and if you can afford the time and money to set up a Shopify site and then afford to run some big ad spend. But it's getting to be more and more of a thing where like you can go and bring Shopify into the mix in a host of different ways, like what Dharma was doing. Dharma's already wide, of course, so it's not a problem for her. But like you could actually roll your book out on your website first and do direct sales that way, and then put it in KU later. If she won't, obviously, because she's wide. But you have options now, and on top of that, consumers are getting used to buying things on random websites on the internet. Like it used to be that we never did that. We're like, oh, only put your credit card in somewhere where you trust. Now, like, yeah, whatever, I'll put it in anywhere. credit card. Put your credit card, enter your credit card numbers in anywhere. Not, no, bad people. So yeah, I think we're going to be coming at a sea change here very shortly, and I think the next year, I really would like to see the next year be a period of time where the retailers matter less and less than they used to. Um, Kind of a downside to that is that if it does turn out that the retailers matter less and less, the last one standing is going to be Amazon. But maybe at that point, people will be so used to doing direct sales that it won't matter. Or maybe a lot of authors will form like sort of collectives or something like that. I know there already are some of those kind of things starting where people are making storefronts with multiple authors, or there's people making apps that are aimed at certain kinds of readers and whatnot. So maybe we'll see a increase in the popularity of those tools and less reliance on the retailers. I know, right? Yeah, we're all here for it. We're all here for like not being at the back, like, beholden to these massive retailers. I'm curious, by the way, what people think of Amazon's option now, where you have to pick whether or not generative AI was involved in your book. And just in case anyone hasn't heard of that, there's now an option when you add and possibly I believe also when you update a title. I haven't tried updating a title myself to see it. We have to choose if the book was AI generated or if AI assisted in the creation of your book. And they consider AI generation to be anything where AI made words. Actually, they don't even say words. They just say content, because they have to cover people who do graphical stories as well, where the AI generated content and then it was modified afterwards by the author. And they consider that to still be AI generated content, even if you've gone and like rewritten all parts of it. And I guess like if an AI generates a bunch of content and you take it and literally do rewrite every word, technically then none of the AI generated content is in there. It's a bit of like a Ship of Theseus sort of situation, right? Like you guys know that. Like the Ship of Theseus, over the years, has had every single board in it replaced. Like not a single piece of wood in the Ship of I don't think the Ship of Theseus exists anymore. But if you have an ancient ship, or even like the USS Constitution, which is the oldest floating commissioned warship in the world, which is in Boston Harbor, there's very few of the original boards are left. And at some point, it will eventually come to the pass that not a single original piece of wood from the USS Constitution is a part of the USS Constitution. But if you were to get all the original wood and rebuild it, which one is the USS Constitution? Kind of thing. So it's kind of like, to a certain extent, it's really, I think, going to be up to the author's discretion which one they tick. I personally think it's just cover your ass as far as Amazon's concerned. They're to be like, hey, we gave people the option, we told them to pick the thing, and then if they do want to bring the hammer down on someone, they can just do it because they think they did the wrong thing. But I think they're probably only going to do it if people complain a lot. Here's what people say about that. Have to disclose when you're updating a title you just did. Okay, I figured they would do that. Do you think that counts as AI editing? No. So Laura, they in their description they talk about AI assisted, and AI assisted is anything that where AI is involved after the author wrote the words, and AI editing using Pro Writing Aid or something like that, or even like flinging your written text to ChatGPT and having it change it from first person to third person or something like that. Would be considered AI assisted and not AI generated, and that will not be disclosed. I think if you choose AI assisted, they actually ask you what tools are used as well. I saw someone mentioning that. Again, I need to actually check on this myself, but I am kind of curious what people think about it. Yeah, I think Christian is just to cover their butts, and they'll probably put AI generated on it. Like right now, if you use a lot of the stock photo websites, it will say that it's AI generated content. I wouldn't be surprised even if eventually they made a filter when you're searching. You could say like, I don't want to see any AI generated content. Because really from Amazon's perspective, their boss is the user experience. So whatever they think makes for a better user experience is what they're going to do. If they think that the users want and will have a better experience by being able to deliberately avoid AI generated content, then I think that's what they're probably going to do. Yeah, I agree, Mike. What you said, what Mike said here. I agree with this. I think it's good news for people who use AI for editing. That's not going to give them any trouble. Yeah, that's why I said I saw too that you don't have to report if it was AI assisted. I've not used AI for anything I've written. So even Pro Writing Aid, I had an editor one time use Pro Writing Aid, and I could tell because it screwed up a bunch of punctuation, because I use different types of quotes for different types of communication that screwed up a bunch of punctuation. And I also use British quoting for some things and American quoting for other things, and Pro Writing Aid it's all over that. I'm like, yeah, you need to do this by hand and not use Pro Writing Aid. I didn't pay you, editor, for that. So I'm very certain that I don't have to worry about that at all. Who knows what will happen in the future, though, right? Like what decisions I'll make in the future. They'll eventually use the non-AI books to train their in-house AI. I mean, maybe. I don't know why they would bother with that, though. There's already large language models that are well trained that they could use. They don't need to retrain. And if they were willing to use non-AI books to train their own in-house AI, then that would be just as, from an ethics standpoint, for people who view that as unethical, that would be just as unethical as using in the existing large language models that are already trained on copyrighted material. And we're trained on copyrighted material before AI generated content appeared. So I'm not sure why they would need to do that. If their decision was to be unethical, why would they go to the extra effort? Well, maybe Amazon plans on making some sort of large AI model that they use beyond books. Maybe that's what they're aiming for. It'd be interesting. But oh shoot! Wow, I'm always amazed how fast these calls go. These calls sessions. They're not really called podcasts. I don't know what this is. It's just a live stream. It's like, it has no fancy name. It's just a dinosaur. For those of you who remember Toy Story 2 or 3. Was it 2 or 3? It's just a dinosaur. I think that was 3. Yeah, there's a lot of backlash for AI. And I think that, the annoying thing is that none of this is actually AI. It's large language models. It's machine learning. There are no general AIs out there doing any of this work. They're not even close to mimicking sentience, Yeah, I agree that it's misplaced as well. But I should jet though, because I do have a call that kicks off in 15 minutes, and I need to take a bio break and fill up on water and not ginger ale, and get ready for that. But as always, it is a slice hanging with everybody. And chatting with you guys. I can't wait to see people at 20 books this year and next year, if it all the stars align. Keep an eye out for Mastering Ad Creative class that we'll do sometime later this fall. I think it's been probably a year since I've done one of those. So we'll have that. And there's some stuff that's changed, and new strategies that I have too that could actually be useful when it comes to more advanced ad creative stuff. Strategies that myself and my team have developed over the past year. And and then of course Solaris will be coming very, very soon, and make it so that much of the analysis on ads and read through and marketing becomes significantly easier and less work for everybody involved. So that'll be great as well. I agree with that, Delta, that some writers who are struggling, whether they're weak or not, whether it's weak writing or just difficult to make certain genre choices, writing choices that make it harder to market. It can be a threat. I can absolutely see why they would see it as a threat. But I'm not personally particularly worried about it. All right, I will see you guys next week, and have yourselves a fabulous weekend. Hopefully the weather's nice and you can enjoy your fall. Ciao. Thanks for coming.